Do you want to be your own boss and don't know how to do it? Come with us as we travel the countryside and talk to successful entrepreneurs to find out how it's done. Welcome to our new series, Georginapreneurs. My name is Caird Urquhart and I'm your host. I've for decades have coached entrepreneurs and watched their businesses grow. And now I get to tour around Georgina and interview these fine, hardworking folks and learn about their businesses and bring those stories to you. I'm really excited to share this series with you, and I hope you get inspired by them like I have. Today for our first episode, we have Debbie and Amanda Gordon with us from Cloverhill Flowers. But first, before we talk to them, let's go check out the farm.
My name is Debbie Gordon, and I'm one of the co-founders of Cloverhill Flowers. My husband and I raised our family in Georgina. We've been here since 1985. My kids all went away to work, and then Amanda and her husband came back.
I'm Amanda Gordon. I'm one of the co-owners of Cloverhill Flowers, and I'm also an owner and content creator for the blog life@cloverhill.com. Back in 2009, I was living in the city and I was in a little apartment with a little dog, and I started a blog as a creative outlet. And then my husband and I, we moved back up here to Georgina. I continued the blog and it shifted to talking about renovating our 1903 farmhouse. It came with some extra land and we weren't quite sure what to do with it. And it was my mom who had the idea of, let's try growing some flowers on it. She'd always had a real passion for flowers.
I'm a floral designer, and I've been a floral designer for longer than I want to mention. And I saw a way of being able to range with natural flowers without them being flown in. Just like you have the local food movement, there's also all over North America right now a slow flower movement. With climate change, we shouldn't have this big carbon footprint in July in Ontario and bringing flowers in from South America.
We do about 50 to 70 different varieties of annuals every year. So those are the flowers that we plant fresh every year. And then we've really tried to establish some great perennial beds. So those are the flowers that come back year after year. So those are peonies, black-eyed Susans, daisies, and then we also have some shrubs that we use too for greenery. So things like ninebark, cedar. And then we've now, just this year, added some new raised beds because we want to try to grow dahlias better. We haven't had great success with them in the field, so we're trying a new method for us, which is doing them in raised beds as well. So in any given year, we'll get 100 different varieties of flowers and foliage that we use to create our look. The environment and sustainability are really important to me because I see that, I have young kids and I want to make sure that we're leaving our property, the world, our community in better shape for them going forward. So going chemical free was really important to us, and we did it right from the get-go because we realized we're out there, we're handling the plants, our kids are out there, there's lots of critters and pollinators, and we could really see that it could make a big impact on our property and that we can see so much wildlife here. And my kids, they grab stuff and eat it as they're walking around. You'll come to see them and they have like kale hanging out of their mouth, or they're eating a tomato like they think it's an apple. They know nothing different, right? So they have no idea.
Our very first place we sold flowers was the farmer's market, and the town was instrumental in getting that up and going. Amanda already had her blog, Life at Cloverhill Business, but the town, we went to them and suggested it'd be really great to have a farm tour, and they developed this event called Field to Table. Agritourism is another type of tourism. A lot of people like to go and see where their food is grown, and now it's our biggest event of the year. We love it, and we had over 500 people here last year in one day.
The interesting thing with the blog is that the flower side of the business is very niche, very local. Our audience is, all within 20 minutes of the flower field for the most part. A bit more into Toronto this year. But with the blog, it is international. Most of my audience isn't in Canada. It's in the US, it's in the UK. So with the blog, it's been interesting because when I started off, it was just for fun as a hobby. And then after a few years of doing it, I started to work on sponsorships with different brands. So I do a lot of content creation for different sponsors, for international campaigns and for national campaigns. And it was a great way for us to renovate the house too and do projects in the house because when we had to paint the outside of the house, we worked with Behr Paint. When we were doing the powder room, we worked with Delta Faucet. So it was really a fun way to run a business but also get the house done as well.
The other thing the town has been really good with is they've worked with Y Space at the Link, and they're trying to help startups and young entrepreneurs. And we don't fit that niche, but Amanda has gone and we've taken the courses because they're really informative courses. And then they support the Chamber of Commerce. And the town started a program called Grown in Georgina, sort of a tagline to let people know there's a lot of really good food available here.
Thanks so much for that great tour. It was awesome seeing your farm. Very, very excited to walk around it.
Thanks for coming over.
Oh, listen, it was my pleasure. Got a bunch of questions for you guys today because I'm really interested in how you got to where you are and just sort of filling in the blanks a little bit. First of all, let me start with you, just about how you got into floral design. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it was sort of by chance. I had opened up a store in Thornbury, and I sold green plants and wicker and macrame. It was the era of macrame, and I had this cute little store called Touch of Green. And then I realized that once I got it all set up, all there was to do was to water the plants and clean up. So I got bored pretty quickly. I was young. I was like 20 years old. And a local florist shop came and said to me, you should come work for us. So I went to Niagara College and took horticulture and floral design, and I loved it. So I did it on a large scale. It was a big operation of me. We had like 2 or 3 weddings a weekend, funerals, and I did that right up until the time that I had Amanda.
Yeah, that's amazing. What I like about it is that it wasn't necessarily what your go-to was out of the gate. Like you got hired by that one company and then you followed it up by getting educated and moving down the line, and it just kind of took off from there, right?
And I was an entrepreneur. Like, people thought I was crazy, 20 years old, renting store space in Thornbury, opening up my own store. But I think that's always been in me, that desire to just kind of create my own business. So I think it just was put on a shelf for 30 years.
Right.
Until we did Cloverhill.
And what gave you the energy or the courage to be able to do that?
I guess partially because my husband was still working, and I was in, my mid-50s with this second time, and I just really wanted to do something. Because I really believe, as we age, that what keeps you young is educating yourself, learning, making new relationships, moving ahead. I think where things really falter for people is if you all of a sudden become stagnant.
Right.
You can very soon become stuck in your rut.
Yeah.
So it's really hard work what Amanda and I do, but it's challenging. Like, I love it.
I'm going to get you to hold that thought for a sec.
Yeah.
We're just going to cut to break, but I want to hear the rest of that thought. Be right back.
And we look out and we realize the property is larger than she thought, when they staked it out. And it's like farm fields, so she has to put something down. And they're very busy trying to renovate this old farmhouse. And I'm standing there one day and I thought, they can't afford sod, they can't afford landscaping. We could put in red clover and wildflowers, and at least it would look purposeful and pretty.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Debbie and Amanda Gordon from Cloverhill Flowers. And Debbie, you were just talking about how you got the strength to become an entrepreneur. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, and I think when you become an entrepreneur, often it's by chance. So Amanda buys this house out on Old Homestead, and we look out and we realize the property is larger than she thought, when they staked it out. And it's like farm fields, so she has to put something down. And they're very busy trying to renovate this old farmhouse. And I'm standing there one day and I thought, they can't afford sod, they can't afford landscaping. We could put in red clover and wildflowers, and at least it would look purposeful and pretty. And then once we did it, we realized, oh wow, they really, really grow well here. So just by chance, then the next year she was off on maternity leave, so went to the farmer's market, and the business grew. And I think people have to kind of really do the research and be cautious and not throw all their eggs into one basket and jump into it financially really hard. Like, you really need to do your research and your work. And we went really slow. And we actually, because it's a seasonal business, we both bought a lot of books. And we did a lot of reading of others' experiences, because there's some great books out there, and really made sure we knew what we were getting into, because it's not easy work.
No, but what I think is cool is that you saw an opportunity. And I think what people miss sometimes is opportunities right in front of them, and they walk right by it. But you jumped on that, which is super cool. Another part of that opportunity was your blog, right, Amanda?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about how that got going and what that revenue model looks like?
I started the blog in 2009, and I was working in the film industry in the city, but I wanted something that was a creative outlet. So it started off as a hobby, and then by
by a few years later, it was starting to make income primarily through advertising and sponsored posts and affiliate links. And it's continued from that. So it's just kind of grown over the last 14 years. So it's interesting because like Cloverhill Flowers is so niche. Like we're, a small business in our community, whereas the blog, it's an international audience. Most of the audience isn't even in Canada because it doesn't really matter where you are, that you can, be on there. So it's been interesting to see two very different business models.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If someone was to start a blog, like how would they go about doing what you did? What's the first step?
The first thing is making sure that, you're creating content that there's interest in. So a lot of the content I've created is called evergreen content. So the idea is that it's always needed. Every year people are looking up how to fix the Christmas lights or a shepherd's pie recipe or, there's one of my most popular ones is a walking tour of all the filming locations from Hocus Pocus in Salem. Well, every Halloween people look that up.
That's cool.
So the idea is that it's stuff that's not specific to any year. A lot of my most popular posts are like 10 years old, just by chance that those are the ones that kind of get picked up.
You don't really know what's going to stick and what isn't going to stick.
Exactly.
Throw it against the wall.
And trying to pick stuff that is not going to be necessarily specific to this exact moment. And then once you get to a certain threshold of readership, how many views you have every month, then you can approach advertising companies, and they mainly manage the advertising. So you give spots, it's like real estate on your website, and then they fill it with ads that you can set limitations on what you're comfortable with being advertised. If you don't want to have like weight loss pills on there or, drugs or something, like you can be a little more specific to your audience. And then the other one is sponsored posts. So I work with a lot of brands from all over the world, and I create sponsored content for them. So the idea is it's a really authentic way of sharing a product with people. It's like kind of the equivalent of word of mouth. So right now I've been doing one that was with a couch company in Australia, and you might see the ad for that company and think, oh, that's interesting. But if you see somebody who you trust writing about it, then you might be more inclined to approach that company, buy something from that company. So it's something that's definitely a model that's developed much more over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, I remember going to a company and saying what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do a blog post with their stuff, and they couldn't understand what I was saying. But now social media is so
You were
big
ahead of the
as well.
curve.
I was. I remember my grandfather being like, "What's your business?" Because he couldn't understand. People go to a website.
Yeah. Great home business though, right?
Oh, it's great.
Because I got to think. You're a mom.
Yeah.
Managing your personal and your business life has to be tricky. You've got a home business, you've got the garden in the yard. How did that come together where, first of all, you're working together? I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But how does it work balancing your personal life with these businesses that you've got going?
The nice thing about the two businesses is that the flower business is primarily summer, and then for me, the blog is mostly fall to winter. People aren't on their computers as much in the summer, or on their, looking at stuff online as they do in the winter. So that's nice. Is kind of they're off season. But a lot of it's setting boundaries of when's family time and when is business time, and we've tried to be a lot better about it, especially the last couple of years.
We've had someone here who had to do that first go around, right, with the boundary setting with you while you were developing what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then she got to watch that, and now you do it together, right?
Yeah, and it's really hard because there's so many things we love about this business. We love going to the farmer markets and events. It's so much fun to see people enjoying flowers, but the reality is we do have more family than each other. I have a husband, she has a husband, she has children, she has siblings. We realized it was just consuming our lives.
Right.
In the best weeks of the summer, we were the two that would come home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon exhausted, put our feet up and be so flat.
They'd want to go on a boat ride. And we'd be just
we've been outside all day.
Well, it takes a lot to run a business, right? You can't just sort of couch it and call it in.
Yeah.
You got to actually be there and working together. Mums and daughters, we've all been there. We have that, that dynamic. How's that work for the two of you? How do you manage bossing each other around and who
95%, we laugh, she's laughing because yesterday we had conflict, so it's really timely.
Okay.
I would say 95% of the time we're fine.
Yeah.
We do really well on. I think because we have different skills too, I'm sort of, floral design is my area of expertise, and I'm really the field and managing that, whereas Amanda's a miracle with marketing. She does all our graphics. Her sister does the paintings of our cards. Like, so it's sort of a family business, but we all have our areas of specialty. Our husbands are basically, as my husband says, he's an unpaid intern.
Yes.
Because they move heavy things for us and stuff.
Right.
But I think for the most part,
Well, you said you had a
we do well.
conflict. Sorry to interrupt, but you said you had a
Oh,
conflict. I don't
conflict,
need to know
yes,
what the conflict was.
Yeah.
But how do you resolve that when you come?
We say sorry.
That's it? That's it? It's like, hug it out?
Yeah.
No, we just, you just know it's the stress, like just sometimes it gets intense. I think people have this idea of flowers because the finished product you see is so pretty and serene, and they don't realize, we're in January on Zoom, deciding what we're going to order. We have greenhouses grow this. Then we have to plant thousands of seedlings. They have to be kept watered to get them to the point that they'll grow. The hailstorm that went through Georgina recently, it's something like that could literally wipe us out in 10 minutes.
Well,
so
speaking
there's a
of
lot
wiping
stress.
out, I'm going to have to cut you off for a second because we got to go to break again. We'll be right back. Welcome back again. We're here with Debbie and Amanda Gordon from Cloverhill Flowers, and I want to ask you ladies about mentors. Maybe each one of you could give me if you have a mentor and what they might have taught you in time.
Well, we actually had a mentor through one of the Y-Space programs. They had connected us with somebody who was Elena from Beverage Marketing, and she was really helpful because she looked at our whole marketing scheme and the way we were doing things, and she identified that we were always putting out fires, always just reacting to the situation. So she was really helpful in getting us to look at kind of the long game.
Right.
So that was probably our
Same
biggest
mentor?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say she was amazing.
She was amazing. And she wasn't just even about marketing. She's also a mom of 2 young kids, so she could explain to us the things that she thought she could see the weaknesses in our business in general.
Right.
Yeah.
So now's your opportunity to mentor others. So what advice might you give?
Well, I think our best advice to people is you just cannot do enough research. And the other thing is networking. And networking can also be Facebook groups. Plug into that Facebook search engine, whatever it is you're interested in, whether it's welding, farming, or whatever, and you will find your people. And we find most people really want to pay it forward and help other people who are entrepreneurs because it's sort of it's exciting, right? That you're decided I'm going to do this, and people support you. We've had huge support.
Yeah. Amanda, do you have a little nugget for someone?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as connecting with people who are in the same mindset as you, because often you feel very alone. You feel like we're the only ones dealing with this struggle or this challenge, and then you get talking, for us, it's other farmers, and we get talking to them, and they're like, oh, no, I'm experiencing the exact same thing.
Right.
Or this is how I've overcome this. So it's been really, really helpful networking, yeah.
Right.
Because it's isolating. You're out in a field, you're the bees, the
Lonely
butterflies.
at the top. Lonely at the top. I want to talk a little bit about your products because you've got the flowers. Al, can you pass me that bucket? Thank you so much. I mean, look at these. These are amazing. Flowers that you delivered. These are the flowers you delivered to me today, which are amazing. So the flower garden obviously is fabulous. And what I do is I take individual ones out and I put them in my little vases at home. And I mean, it's just joyous. But you've also got some other products that you have on the farm.
Yeah, we developed an entire product line of floral bath products, and that was mainly because we only have these flowers in the summer months, from say June to October, and in the winter people still wanted stuff from us, and we wanted to keep our customer base. So we developed a product that we could use our dried flowers to have lavender sugar scrub and a floral milk bath and chamomile bath salts. We developed a candle line. My sister's a really talented artist. And we made a watercolor greeting card line. It's just to kind of round out the business and get us through those colder months.
Are there any flowers here that you use in your bath products?
Yeah, zinnias. We dry zinnias because they're actually edible. A lot of people don't know that.
Zinnia.
Yeah, lovely zinnia.
Yeah.
Sometimes straw flowers because they kind of keep their shape as well. Yeah.
Do you make tea out of anything? Can you make tea out of flowers?
Chamomile. You can make tea out of chamomile.
Yes.
Which we don't have here, but we do grow as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And we have lavender, edible
lavender.
lavender. It's edible. So people do make things with the lavender.
I love lavender. I love lavender. Can you maybe give us a little bit of like what the future might look like for you guys? Like I'm intrigued by, we've watched the business grow to date, and what do you have in your mind going forward? Because I know entrepreneurs are always thinking, always churning up ideas.
Well, we've kind of, this year we've expanded, we did a kind of a test run of expanding our workshops beyond, York region. We started doing them in Toronto, and I think it's kind of expanding our workshop range of where we can go. We realized once we get all those flowers in the truck, it doesn't matter where we go. So it's kind of a great way to broaden our audience as well.
Talk a bit about the workshops.
Want to talk about the workshop?
Yeah, tell us about the workshops.
So the workshops are a lot of fun. People love them. So we give throughout the workshop tips on how to condition your flowers and care for your flowers and the basics of floral design. And we bring buckets of flowers, and we walk everybody through to a certain stage, and then we let them we set up a flower bar, and they go get the bits and pieces to finish it. And we do private parties like that. We do them at the farm. We do them in breweries. We've gone to restaurants. I think the next one up is Mess Hall over in Sutton.
Oh, in Sutton, yeah.
Yeah, that we're doing. And they're just really positive. We're trying to find things to do that bring us joy, because there's all kinds of ways you could go with a floral business. And these are the things that make us happy. Weeknight workshops, having our weekends free, having our flowers at Queensway Marketplace that our customers can still get them 7 days a week.
How would someone find out about like the Mess Hall one, for example?
Cloverhillflowers.ca is our website, has our online shop on there, which has all our bath products, and then also has links to all of our workshops as well.
And the really big thing is you can order anything anytime you want. You don't have to wait till we're having an event. Amanda, we do what we call a front porch pickup. You just call. You can either e-transfer us the money or leave it under the mat.
Really?
Oh, now I've told our hiding place.
I know. FYI, the money's under the mat.
Under the mat. Really high finance at Cloverhill Flowers. But we often get people like you who love our flowers, and they're having a party, and they just want to buy a pail of flowers. And they say, just give us a mixed bunch of flowers and let us create. So it works really, really well. We just recently did Bill Major's 80th birthday. He just celebrated his 80th birthday, and they ordered up, a bunch of our arrangements for it, and everything pretty. We've done funeral flowers, anything you want flowers for, we can do it.
Which is amazing. And I like these. I get these every week. The ladies bring them to my house every Wednesday. And
doorstop.
I know doorstop. It's just amazing. This big bucket of flowers arrives, and
you just leave last week's empty bucket, and we just
it's like Christmas. You open the door, and oh my God, the flowers are here. It's like so.
Well, that's good.
I just love that.
And your happiness, because it's genuine, also really makes it worthwhile for us. Because if we were just out in the field and sent the flowers out, we never get that feedback. And I love flowers, obviously, right? So it's really important. That makes it worthwhile. Like, we feel good when people say we love your flowers.
Do you think the kids are going to step into the biz?
They all
know they're little.
Love being out in the flowers. It's funny because they can name almost everything in there.
Really?
From a young age. They knew what different flowers were and stuff because they've grown up out in the flower fields. They have what we call field naps, where we'll turn around and they lay, because the tarps are black and they're really warm, and they'll like lay and have little naps amongst the flowers and stuff. And it's been nice to it's really nice to share this with my mom. My kids get to spend a lot of time with her then outside as well. So it's been really rewarding that way too.
But it'd be cool to have it like 3 generations, right? I mean, that's how businesses like develop over time. You go from one to the next to the next. It's kind of,
But I think one of the things we've had is we've had people come and do workshops and say, I'm a school teacher. I want to do what you do. I think it's really important for us to be clear to people that, like, my husband's retired. I'm not doing this to pay a mortgage. And Amanda's husband, it's a business, but it's not there's a lot of background expense you don't even see. Like our insurance a year is over $600 because we put the public on the property.
Right.
The website.
I'm going to have to stop you because the show's over.
That's okay.
I'm going to have to say goodbye, and I hate to say goodbye because it's been so great to have you guys here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
It gets back to research.
It's been, research. Research is the word of the day, folks.
Yeah.
Everybody, make the best of your day, and we'll see you next time, all right?